Can you start beekeeping if you don't own any land? Hello, I'm Griff Rees, welcome to Winning Griffith. Here we talk everything beekeeping, farming, countryside living, and we do reviews as well. Now today I want to talk about, can you start beekeeping if you don't own any land? Well, the quick answer is yes. Now let's get into it if you want to find out how. So let's look at it from the start. Bees is pretty much the only livestock out there that will go on other people's land, and those people, they won't mind at all. Now if you compare that to cow farming, if a cow were to go out to the yard into someone's garden, then there'll be a serious mess and a serious place there to sort out after. You might even get sued if they cause damage. But with beekeeping, bees go to other people's land, and that's no problem at all. It's just where to house the beehive. That's the big question. And even someone like me, on the scale I'm on, even now most of my bees are on other people's land. Like, there's only so much you can keep in one place. And when I started off, I was lucky enough, my parents had enough land for me to keep some bees. But I want to talk about, if you haven't got any land or you haven't got a suitable garden, where can you put these bees, or where can you put the bees that you want to get, and for you to get into the art of keeping bees. And that's what I want to cover today. The great news is you don't need that much land to keep bees. You only need a small amount of area to keep them. The only issue with keeping bees is people, really. Bees can sting, and when you do any inspections, the bees are going to be a little bit more aggravated, so you want to make sure that no one is there within the vicinity to get stung, because again, that's going to cause problems. People might sue you, or they'll complain, they'll phone the council, etc. That's the last thing you want to happen when you're keeping bees. So make sure your bees are away from people, so within a very tight-knit garden where you've got rows of gardens. Those kinds of gardens may be are not suitable unless your neighbours are on board. As a rough rule, that those types of gardens there, that they're not going to be suitable for keeping bees. But if you haven't got a garden, or your garden's not suitable, before you look anywhere else, look up. Now in London and these big cities, there's a lot of urban beekeeping, and they keep their hives on the roofs. So has your house got a nice solid flat roof, good access? If so, then that there will be a perfect place to keep bees. They're right up there, out of the way from people, and bees do very well on roof spaces. But if you just live in a normal house, tiled roof, you haven't got a flat, solid workspace up there, and don't worry, there's still plenty of ways to get into beekeeping. If you don't own any land and you haven't got a flat roof, let's get into it. So the first place to look for, if I was you, ask your family. So if you've got an uncle, brother, grandparents, have they got a house with enough land to keep a few bees, or they've got enough land away from other people? If so, that would be the best way to get in, because they're not going to charge you any rent. They'll just be happy with a couple of pots of honey, and trust is not an issue because they're family, you already know them, and it's just a great step up to go there. And that's exactly how I started. So I had my two first beehives with my parents. When that site went too big, I went to my parents-in-law and I put bees there. So that was my second site with my parents-in-law, and the bees are still there now, and there's no reason that you can't do the same. And again, like I said, with family, there's just no problem there whatsoever. Everybody's on the same board, and you've pretty much, well, you would have known them for all your life. So that's the first place I'd look for. If you haven't got any land, ask your family, see if they've got suitable land to keep some bees. The next step will be friends and work colleagues. Now this is a bit more tricky, especially with friends. You don't want to feel that you've put them out, or things can be a little bit awkward there if they were to get stung. But again, friends and work colleagues can be another great source of suitable land for you to keep some bees. Now if you don't want to go down the friends and family route, probably the first place I'd look for then is an allotment. See if you can rent a corner of an allotment somewhere, maybe in a wooded area where there's no small gardens right within the vicinity of the hive, to see if you can keep some bees there. I know in Carmarthen, where I'm from, there's an allotment there and they've got some bees on the allotment, and I think, as far as I'm aware, that works out quite well. The bees have been there for a while. I have heard some stories of bees have to be removed from the allotment because people keep getting stung, but all depends on the type of the allotment that you've got there, what's the layer of it. So that might be a great place to rent some land to keep some bees. Other options are then, you've got charities within the UK here. We've got the National Trust, Woodland Trust, Wildlife Trust, etc., where depending where you're from, they've got they own massive amounts of land. Some of that land they rent out in big bits, sometimes they rent out in small bits. You might be able to rent a small area for very, very little money for you to keep some bees. That there would be a fantastic option. And you've got some kind of agreement in place. Those types of charities, they're very used to renting out land, and the whole process is very streamlined there. So if you're lucky enough, a charity or an organisation like that, they might be able to house some bees for you. Obviously you do the work, but they own the land, but you can keep the bees there with an agreed arrangement. Another option going down the same road is there might be some public land or green spaces that the local authority might own, or it might be land might have been given as part of a cost-cutting exercise to a local organisation or charity. So similar to a village charity or a village organisation where they've set up a group to take over the liability and the maintenance of some green spaces. Then you can approach them to see if they'd be happy for you to keep some bees in a corner of a playing field, corner of a green space, or right down in a woodland somewhere. As long as they own the land, that's another great organisation or spot to inquire about keeping bees there. Now don't forget private business. Now private businesses can be a fantastic spot to keep bees. The first thing that comes to my mind is caravan parks. Now caravan parks, they've got lots of land, they've got lots of people going there. Obviously you don't want the people to be near the beehive, but because you've got lots of people going there, those caravan parks, they might want the caravan park to feel that they've got something different compared to other caravan parks, and just having a beehive there in the distance is a great resource for them. They can say they're a green caravan park, they've got their own caravan park honey, so you can easily break a deal there. You keep some bees on the caravan's park land, they get some honey back in return, they can sell that honey in the caravan park, and chances is they'll probably be able to sell all of the honey that you can produce within a couple of hives from that one caravan park. People go there on holidays, they see the bees, they see the hive, they want to taste and buy the honey. So that there could be a great resource or a great business venture or a joint venture between you and the caravan park. And if you haven't got any land, going down that road is probably one of the best ways to go. And staying on the road of private businesses, any kind of green company is a great company to approach. Now obviously these companies have got to have some kind of roof space, or they've got to have a fair bit of land for you to put your bees, but don't let that put off you. It's worth contacting these companies if you want to keep bees. The only thing with private companies are they're going to want some kind of insurance in place, so it might not be the best first choice. Best to get some experience under the belt first before you start putting your hives in front of these big businesses, especially on their land. Insurance becomes a major factor, especially with these corporate companies. They're really worried about people suing them. You've got to make sure you've got experience, and you've got to make sure that your insurance is in place. But nonetheless, as you're working up, you keep bees in your parents' house with your brother, uncle, etc. You move over to some rented land, gain the experience. You want more land, and going down this type of road might suit you in the end, but don't forget about them. Now remember, every time you approach someone to see if they're willing for you to keep bees on the land, always offer them rent. You are the one going to them wanting the favour, not them coming to you. Now if they ask you, do you want to put some bees in my garden, then that's much easier deal to break through. Normally honey would be an ample payment there. And even on the scale that I'm on, most of my bees are on other people's land. There's only so much I can keep here where I live. We break a deal then. They're either offered a cash payment lump sum every year, or they're offered the same amount of value in honey. Everybody takes the honey, but the honey's got to be from that location. They don't want honey from anywhere else. They want honey from the bees that's on their property. So that's a great deal really, of you getting something and them getting something in return. So as always, you've got to go there offering them something, not just accepting something back for free. And finally, probably the best place to keep bees, and probably the easiest place to keep bees, and that's on farms. Now farmers, they are used to livestock. They are very pro bees, very pro bee farming. They are the guardians of the countryside. The only time a farmer will pretty much say no to keeping bees is if he doesn't know you, he doesn't trust you, you've got a bad reputation, or the farm is just not suited for housing bees, access etc. is a problem, or there's just too many people around the place. Now the farms that I would go to first, that I know these will be more prone to say yes, is the arable farms. So especially the farms growing oilseed rape. Now it's beneficial for them if bees were to pollinate the oilseed rape, because they're going to get a much bigger crop. So there's something you can go there, you can say, well, I'm willing to pay rent, either money or honey, and on top of that my bees are going to pollinate your oilseed rape, and you're going to be financially better off because you're going to have a bigger honey crop. That's a great negotiation stance to take with a farmer, especially an oilseed rape growing farmer. So again, that might be an easier route to go down. Again, still have your insurance in place, etc. Just by joining the local beekeeping association, you're going to have a high level of cover there. I think they'll cover pretty much everything that you need. Just double check that. I knew back in the day that used to be the case. Obviously my insurance, I'm in with the bee farmers, my insurance is much higher than a hobby version of that insurance through a local beekeeping association. I've got a commercial insurance policy in place. But for you to keep a couple of hives on a farmland, for the farmer to be happy, I think the insurance that you'll get through your local beekeeping association will be ample for that. But don't take my word for it, double check on that. Well, there you have it. There's some fantastic tips you on where you can keep bees if you haven't got land yourself. Now there's only one major rule when it comes to keeping bees on other people's land. They are the boss and you bend over backwards to help them out. So if you get a phone call out the blue, doesn't matter how much honey there is on the hive, that farmer or landowner or business owner has been stung and they want the bees removed, doesn't matter how much work it is, you better remove those bees, bend over backwards to help them out, because that's what it's all about. Now it's happened to me back in the early days where I used to keep bees in people's gardens. I remember one story particularly. This gentleman got stung, he's swollen up really bad. Now I moved those bees pretty much that night just to get them out of there. And that's the thing, when you don't own the land and your bees are on other people's land, that does become an issue. So where you put the bees is another massive factor. I'll go through all that in another video. That's a massive topic of where is actually suitable to keep bees. Obviously you want access, but the main thing for me is I don't want people getting stung from my bees. That's a big issue, and touch wood, that hasn't happened to me for a long time, because I'm so selectful of where I put my bees. Again, subscribe to this channel, keep a lookout for that video. Depending what time of year or how far down the road you watch this video, that video might actually be out by now, but at the time that it's recording and publishing this video, I haven't uploaded that yet. So if you want to be notified of when that video goes up, please click the subscribe button and then you'll be notified. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. Really appreciate all the feedback and the kind support you've all given me through this channel. And the biggest thank you can do to me is, again, subscribing to my channel, following me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I spend a lot of my time on those sites putting out a lot of content, and really glad you watched this video, and hopefully you'll stick around to watch a few more. Thanks for watching.